Good morning and welcome to GM Tips. GM Rick here. As you see, I've learned a new skill on OBS. I can do two things at once, God forbid. Um, so, this morning I'm going to show you a little bit of what I've been working with this uh, past few weeks and why I haven't been on. I've been learning Fantasy Grounds, as you can see, and part of the reason I'm doing Fantasy Grounds, I'm going to start my campaign in my group beginning January and working with uh, Fantasy Grounds and trying to make Fantasy Grounds a workable environment for my group. Why, you ask? Well, besides just the fun of trying it out, excuse me, I'm going to be moving to Ohio here in March. So my group is going to be all here in Dallas. I'm going to be in Ohio. It's going to be really interesting. Well, with the exception of one, I've got one player, Scott, who is in Tennessee. So we've got an interesting group, and thank you, Sassy the cat. That shaking thing that you saw on the camera was Sassy rubbing her side and scenting the whole table I have this sitting on. Thank you, Sassy, for your lovely contribution to the video. So what I'm going to go through a little bit with you guys is things that I like about Fantasy Grounds. And again, it was a process of learning. As you go through things, as you know, anytime you're trying something new, it is a piece of work and adventure. And for me, this has been a real piece of work and adventure. It took a lot of hours. And I will say one thing before you go and say, there are no books to buy for this out on Fantasy Grounds. This is one of the things Fantasy Grounds does. It is a video, well, not a video, it's a gaming interface that allows you to game over the internet with different players. And you can put together a game session, you can do the mapping, you can do the campaign, you can do the Fog of War. It's a lot like Roll20, but it's got some interesting and cool things that are about it that I like a little more than I do Roll20. Uh, so, one of the things you want to know is there's a huge community for this. And you ask, well, where do I go find this community? Well, I'm going to take you through here and show you on this. So, hopefully, this is showing up with my little cursor here. So, one of the things you want to do is you want to create a campaign. What kind of systems do you have available? You've got 3.5 D&D, 4E, 5E. And the nice thing about 5E is they have most of the SRD rules set out there. So even though you may have to buy some books and add some things in, a lot of the basic framework is there for 5E. And I give Fantasy Grounds a lot of props for this and in doing this. They have their own core role-playing game. So if you do not want to you play one of the playable systems, but you want to have a core, you can use their core role-playing game. They have Fate core, so if you like Fate system and any of the Fate games and campaigns, you can use Fate core. I've imported GURPS. GURPS is available, so for you D6 players who love GURPS, GURPS is available for you. Numenera, hey, Monty Cook and Numenera, there we go. The Monty Cook team, you guys are on there. They have PF RPG, they have Savage Worlds, they have Rollmaster. But wait, there is more. They also have Castles and Crusades, Mutants Masterminds, and many other gaming systems. So if you don't find your gaming system here, you can find it in the forums. So I'm going to create a campaign because I want to show you guys some things. If you want to create the campaign, you pick one. So I picked PF Pathfinder RPG. Now, you notice here on the extensions, as you buy the books for the system, so say, a lot of times they'll give you the core rule books. They don't always give you the add-ons, and you have to go onto their store and buy the add-ons. Hello there. As you can see, Mini GM is adding to the contribution with a Pokemon. I love her. Uh, they also have Call of Cthulhu. I forgot to mention that. They've got a lot of different systems that you can use. Now, as I do this, watch what happens. I'm going to add the advanced bestiary. And what it will do is it will create a background with the advanced bestiary layovers so you can get different types of themes. Now, when you load this in, you're going to go through and you're going to pick all your things. Now, I'm not going to take you through this because there's enough tutorials. There's some great gamers out there that have done some great tutorials on this. So I don't want to take you through necessarily how to set everything up. What are things you need to note? You need the internal, so if people are in your house using your router and you're doing this and you're all together and you're just doing a live stream, this internal address here is what you need. The external will give you an external router address that they can come into. You need to give that to them plus the alias enable, so you can generate an alias enable. And then you can also create a password and a game login. So everybody has their own password to get in and they can connect to their characters. So one thing you're going to want to note, and this is key for UGMs, and I know it's a little bit of a cost, you want the premium license. Why? The premium license is a one-time hit of either $150, or if you don't have that, $9.99 a month. Now, mind you, you do the monthly, it does not add up to that $150 and then they don't bill you anymore. It is a month-to-month licensing, and you keep paying it. Now, if you want to buy the outright full license, you still have to pay the $150 after the fact. Why then would you want to do the month to month? Because the month to month is a smaller hit. You can cancel anytime if you don't like it, and you're not stuck with a piece of software that you paid $150 for. Yes, in the long run, you're going to pay more money month to month. So if you think you're going to have it long term, save up the money and do the one-time hit. The nice part about the one-time hit of premium, if they upgrade the license, so if they're going to a Fantasy Grounds 3 on the software, they will allow you to get that for free. So you get the upgrade for free. That is a huge deal in the software world. You don't normally get that. So keep that in mind. So those are things you're going to want to know for getting your people logged in. Now, let's look at some other features. So I'm going to load one of my campaigns here. I'm going to pick the Inner Sea Osirian campaign. There's a reason for this. I want you guys to see. So it's going to do its little login thing. It's going to take a minute. Now you see the login screen. They do a lot of maps. They have a lot of free tiles. Now you can also take your Roll20 tokens and import them into Fantasy Grounds. So that's the nice thing. You don't lose anything between the two systems on that or the maps. The maps will also come over. So Smiteworks has done a tremendous job in creating this and working with this, Dave and the team. Really well done. And you lose nothing. So you don't have to feel like you're glued to one or the other. And vice versa. If you leave Fantasy Grounds and you want to take your tokens over to Roll20, you can do that. The nice thing about tokens is they're pretty universal between the two systems. And there's some free token maker software out there. So look at token creators for game systems on Google, and it'll give you some really great free software that will allow you to make your own tokens. So keep that in mind. Now, as we get into this, and again, it does take a little bit to load, so please bear with it. The faster processor, I've got a slow processor and a slow RAM, otherwise this would be going twice as fast as it's going right now. All right, so campaign setup. What do you need? You can pick your user manuals you want to have. So if you want a user manual to show, you can either pick the general one there or you can go to the wiki. I suggest the wiki. The wiki has some great things on the user guides that will allow you to work with Fantasy Ground. The other thing you can access, and this is really key, forums. You want to go to the forums. Why do you want to go to the forums? Because the forums have the books that aren't created by Smiteworks that you can import in. And I'll give you a perfect example. So let's go real quick to the forums. Okay? The forums will allow you to see, and hopefully you're seeing all this on my screen. Yep. Nope, you didn't get to see the forums. Dadgummit. Well, I will have to say, you click on the forums like I had shown you to do. Okay? And it'll bring up forums. And under the forums, you'll have a lot of different forums. They have the general ones, which is like City Hall, the Tavern, the Commons. The nice thing about those is you can go into those and you can talk to other gamers about the systems you're running. And a lot of times they're available. Now, they also have a group on Discord. And this is one of the key things I love. Manned by the Smiteworks staff or experienced Smiteworks users. and they can walk you through aspects of the game. So if you're having problems setting something up, if you're having problems importing something, if you're having an error, you can go right to them. You can do a screenshot, send it to them, and they are able to help you live. So that's tremendous, and that's a tremendous resource because you think about it, you got to wait for emails and other things to come back. It takes a long time for that to occur. So when you get onto that, you can do a lookup of SmiteWorks on Discord on Google. Click on it and it'll link you back into your Discord and it'll take you right to their group and you can add them. And I've got them as, believe me, a constant group that I work with. What else? So now they've got things for your organizational games. So if you guys like playing Adventures Leagues, Pathfinder Society, LFG, um, FG Con, Fantasy Grounds Con, you can do something and click onto those and get information on things you may need there. Now, um, the real thing I love is the down below that, and you go to the create and share forums. Go into the armory. I mean that, and the workshop. The armory will allow you to see what all campaigns, modules, rule sets, maps, and tokens that the community has made a lot of times that you can import into your system. The other thing is if you go down for the game systems, like I like game systems, I go down, they have for their core RPG, whatever material they've put in. They've also done that for Pathfinder. So for me in 3.5 Pathfinder, I click on it and I go to list of mods. You can't think of modules in Fantasy Grounds like modules in a game. They are not like Keep on the Borderlands, Hamlet. That's not what they're talking about. A module is a data module that you can import into your system. So let's look at this a little farther as we go along. So let's go to next on the campaign setup. You click on modules. These are the modules you will see. So keep in mind as you're looking at the modules, these are the modules you'll see. So you can get the 3-5 spells, monsters, basic rules. Now, I got from Green Ronin Publishing, and this is a buyable thing on the store, that I got the advanced bestiary. The basic familiars, the PFRPG PRD, are things they dug out of the Pathfinder Paizo PRD and then loaded into a module for you to use. They've got calendars, so you can use a calendar and dates that you can put in reminders for your characters. And I love this. So you click on calendars when you get into the game, and you can put down a date and an event that happens that are little reminders for your players. You get the fantasy ground maps. Sorry, this is kind of being a pain here. I got to do it this way. You can get the map packs. Those are buyable from SmiteWorks. As you can see, the Mummy's Mask, Player's Guide, and Half City of the Dead. Now you're going to spend some money on these different adventure paths and books. The books generally are $30 to $40, with the exception of Green Ronin and some of the Tome of uh, Tome of Evil. Those things are about 19 bucks, and they bring in all of your monsters to your system. But these things right here, the nice thing about Mummy's Mask and the Half Dead City, so say you want to do an adventure path, or say you want to do a module path from D&D. You bring it in. It has all the maps ready to go and imported in. It has all the encounters put in. It has all the data your players are going to want to see put in. It has all the monsters and the monster appendix put in. So you're not having to enter this data yourself. Otherwise, you're cutting and pasting a lot. And I know because I did a lot of this. Uh, buy the books. I'm going to tell you right now, it's well worth the money. Think about it. If you're going to enter in a book like The Mummy's Mask, a 64-page book, and all the encounters, the monsters, the items, it is going to take you well over a day to 2 days to enter. That's a lot of money and time. And if you have the time to give, fine, then don't spend the money. For me, I don't have the time to give, so 22 bucks is cheap for me to import all that information in. And you can load and unload. So you see it says unloaded. That means it's loaded into the system. If you click it like this, it'll unload all the data. And then you load it in like this. So you load in whatever you want. So I got the advanced races, the archive spells from the SRD, Bestiary 2, Bestiary 3, Bestiary 4, and 5. God, imagine how much time it would take you to enter the monsters in the Bestiary. I can tell you, one monster for me to enter it in takes me about 10 minutes. Now figure there's 200 monsters of Bestiary. So that's 2,000 minutes to put in one book if you're lucky. And that's just the monsters. We're not even talking about the appendices, any of the spells, the abilities. Don't put yourself through this pain. I'm telling you. If you need to enter it and you have no other way, fine, then take the time. It's going to take you a big chunk of time. Otherwise, use these add-ins that you can get from the groups. And you can tell the game mastery guide, they put in the NPCs for me, they put in the NPC codex. So now I've got all my monsters and NPC mythic rules, all kinds of great things. Some of nature's allies, creatures, spells, all the spells that are on the SRD from all the different books. Now I bought the advanced player's guide, okay? And then there's something else you can do. So say you enter in all the data yourself and you want to save it to use across campaign after campaign. What you do here, and again, I got to load these in because they aren't loaded in here. You can load in the base build. So any spells that I put in from the Ultimate Combat, from the Ultimate Magic, now are all imported in. Now I'm good to go. So I can do this campaign to campaign. And again, there's features I can show you guys on how to do this. And then if I want to put in my Reign of Winter data, I can do that. I want my feats in there. Let's see what else I got to load in. Mummy Mask campaign things I put in. So all that's going to come in. Okay. So I'm bringing in all my possible data. And then if I want critical or fumble tables, I can do that. And I click on this, and all those come in. So now I click out of this, and then you get tokens. So you can get free ones. The animal pogs, the animal tokens are free. The basic familiars are free from that book. The character pogs, tokens, letter tokens. The map pack I had to buy. So those tokens were not free. The Tome of Horrors. That's what I meant to say, not Tome of Evil, Tome of Horrors. When you buy that book, all those tokens come in. Same with the Advanced Player's Guide. So any tokens they created from that come in. Okay? And then you go like this and options. So you can set your options. So you can put manual dice entry if you don't want to see the dice roll. You can target on remove or miss. You can set up different settings in your deal, and you're going to want to look. One of the things you can see is this decal images. So I said PFRG Advanced Player's Guide 4. What did it do for me? Well, this. It gave me a different background than the standard one that you saw in the beginning. So now I can put in a cool background. If I want to put in Mummy's Mask, if I have that, I can put in that background. It allows me to choose the background on there for the players to see. Now, what do you see open here? This is the little GM's panel. Now, if I want to save what I have loaded, you do a /save and everything is saved. Remember to do that, especially when you're doing data and entering things. Now, the library then allows you to go get things from the store if you want. So you click it, and then it opens the deal there, which you're probably not seeing right now because I don't have it on there. But it opens a window to the store, and it tells you what all is there. So for you D&D players, you want to know what's in the store. They have a, let's do D&D 5e. And what they have for the 5e experience is they have a complete bundle. You can get a complete bundle from them, okay, from the Dungeons and Dragons site. So you click on that, and it's got the D&D complete bundle. What does it have on the complete bundle? Well, in this bundle that you're going to pay a bunch of money for, it has complete core class pack, complete monster pack, the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Curse of Strahd, the Horde of the Dragon Queen, Lost Mind of Fandelver, Princes of the Apocalypse, Demons of the Abyss, Storm King's Thunder, Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, from Tales from the Yawning Portal, Tyranny of Dragons, The Rise of Tiamat, The Tomb of Annihilation, Bolo's Guides to Monsters, and Xanathar's Guide to Everything. All those books are available. Now, how much do you, if you want to buy them individually? Well, the D&D stuff is $22.49 for the core books, and then the modules vary. They can be from 11 to 18 bucks, depending. Xanathar's is $22.49, so very affordable, much more affordable than Pathfinder, and the license there. Mine are a little more expensive, but you can get all this. You don't have to enter the Volo rules; it will enter it for you, and that is a key thing you want to note about this. Now, you say, well, I could probably do that on Roll20. Yeah, but the mechanics here for setting things up and building things is much easier. I'm going to show you that. So, keep in mind, this is some really good stuff for the basics. Now, I'm not going to do a lot more, but I will do a little bit more because I want to keep this to no more than about 28 minutes for a video. Otherwise, I'm going to lose you guys. So let's take a look at this. You can click on what the players and the GM see. So if you want the GM's part of it, I want to see all these things. So I'm going to put in this. I'm going to click skills and see these little things opening up around me. Spells, races. Watch the screen to the right here. You're going to see it add little boxes. And classes. Now the players, I don't want them to see all that. So I want them to see feats. I want them to see characters, items, classes. I don't want them to see encounters. I don't want them to see NPCs. Notes I want them to see, story I want them to see, and spells. Those are the only things I want the players to see. Okay, so there you go. All the things I get to see as a GM, all the things they get to see. And that's the key. You do not want your players to see things on that side. You don't have to. Now, what's important about this? Well, click the players. So, I want to upload players. Okay, so what I can do is I can export, and there's a converter on this software for Fantasy Grounds that I'll show you in a later video if you want, that will allow you to convert the HTMG. So if you are using Hero Lab, you can export a file by saving it to another format, and it'll even say Fantasy Grounds, and you can save it, and then you can take the converter, go to that location, and convert it to an XML file. Fantasy Grounds uses XML format. Then here, if you want to bring it in, you do this button, and it will allow you to upload something. So let's look at my XML files. Here are my XML files. So if I want to put in one of my NPCs, let's say I want to do Kasim Hashem. See, it brings him in. Puts all the data where it's supposed to go. So I'm not having to enter in this data, which is really key, including when you get to your weapons and attacks. And see, it puts all the data where it's supposed to do it. If you create them from scratch, it is much more difficult to do. Use Hero Labs. And this is one of these times where people go, why should I invest in Hero Labs? This right here. This right here saves you literally an hour's time to put a character into Fantasy Grounds. Spend your time in Hero Lab, export it out, import it in. Then you have control and you can update it as you go, as you want, as you go up levels. And it will put in all the data. It will put in the abilities. So look at all the class abilities. It puts them in. Proficiencies, feats, racial traits. Puts them all in. Master, it puts all in all your items. So it'll go out of your item things and it'll put in everything, including the weights. So things that don't weigh anything like ink and things, you don't see that in there, right? Total encumbrance, puts all that on there, shows you where I am. I'm lightly encumbered. Great. It gives me gold pieces, platinum, silver, copper. Beautiful. Puts all my money in. And then any notes. It has a problem putting in the note screen. So if I have a note on the character or a background, you still may have to put the appearance and the notes in there. But look at this, it puts everything else in for me. So I've got everything in and ready to go. And I'm not having to do this by hand manually. Um, really easy to do. So that's a feature I like about this system. Now, one thing you're going to find, it will put in encounters. So, like for instance, if I want random encounters, there's tables that'll put it in there. So if I want an encounter to occur, this is what it puts up for me, the experience and everything else, and I can set that to go into a map. I can drag and drop that into a map. So there's a lot of drag and drop features, which I love in this game. Okay. The other thing it'll do is it'll put in any tables. So if I want greater magic item or shield table, look what it shows me. Boom, I can generate the table and the rolls. So now I can roll and see what I get as a GM to give them treasure-wise. What a nice thing, right? Saves you all kinds of time opening books and digging through to find the right page. You got them right here. Much easier to use. NPCs. So these are basically any of your monsters or NPCs. Look at this. You can do them by challenge rating if you want. So it'll sort them by CR. There's your CRs. If you're in Pathfinder. Okay, so I want to do something else. I want to do by type. That's a descripting error. Wonder why it's a descripting error. Oh, there it is. Aberrations. So I can go through and find aberrations, animals. It'll do it by type. Then it'll do it by letter. So you can do them alphabetically, right? A, B, C, D. You go through and do them. Makes finding these very easy. Now, you can go page by page. Now, if you want to sort, so I want to find a Hydra, okay? Look at what that does. Now it makes it real easy for you to go through and sort and find your Hydra stuff. So keep in mind, this simplifies a lot of things for you as a GM, okay? So say you want something out of the story. Okay, you can go through the story. So I want to go through the adventure background. Pull it up. You can go through and discuss the background with the players, and you've got it right there. Instead of opening all these modules and having them open at your desk and trying to do all this, simplification. And you can either show that to your players or not by your features of what you want to do. Now spells, okay? It's got the spell list. It can do it by book, okay? So if you want Azamar spells, so if I just want Azamars, it tells me the Azamar spells. If I want Catfolk spells, it'll tell me the Catfolk spells that are just special to them. So I like this. Now, if you did some new spells where you added them in, this is where it will show you. Now, one thing to note here, if I did some things, so like I say, I did my Pathfinder build for my campaigns. These are all the ones I entered in. Okay, if you want to do a new spell, you can add a new spell from a book. What do? You put in the school, the level, the components, casting time. So take this verbatim and copy and paste it out of what book you have. Okay, and when you're done and you put the description down here, boom, locked it away. New spell. See, comes up there. You can do the same with monsters if you want to put in a new NPC monster. Okay, so I want to put in a monster in a book I don't have. Boom, it takes you through and you can put in all the base information, any spell casting they have. You go in there, boom, what kind of spells do they have? Are they sorcerer? So you can put sorcerer in there. You can put, so if I put, like, I've got one first level spell, it allows you to go down there, you click on it, and then you can put in the spell info. So this will show up with the monster, so you have the spells, okay? Other. Others, just the description out of the book. So descriptions on special abilities. I've cut and paste those in there. So let's take and see if they'll show you on an Azamar. Okay, so there's the information in there. Any spells? Nope. Any things like this? Look at this. It tells you what notes are there with a simple Azamar. So you've got all that information. There's so much more I can go through, but I like this system and I like the simplicity of the point and click. So keep in mind, well worth the investment. This is what I've been working on, and I hope to share that with you guys soon. Thanks again, and have another great week.